I'm Aaron Baker from PhoneDog.com, and it's part 2 of an incredible dogfight battle between the Samsung Galaxy S4 and the HTC One. They're both flagship smartphones. It's going to be the tightest dogfight battle ever, and it's part 2. Let's go find out which one is crowned the dogfight champion. It's part 2 of a dogfight battle between the Samsung Galaxy S4 and the HTC One. It's the dogfight you've been waiting for between the two hottest Android smartphones of 2013, and this is part 2. If you didn't get a chance, check out part 1 right here at this link. I'm going to put it in once the video is uploaded, and you can just click on it and go right back to part 1 and get caught up, so you don't start part 2 saying, what the heck is this guy talking about? I don't remember anything that he just said in part 1. All you have to do is go back and watch it, friends, at that link below. Also, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like this for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, your contacts, and settings, so when you walk out the door with either of these devices, you're good to go, thanks to Best Buy Mobile. It is the dogfight battle, not just of 2013, but possibly the dogfight battle of all time, because these are two incredibly hot Android phones that, yes, this one is still plastic. A lot of people are talking about the build quality. It's got Gorilla Glass 3 on the front in terms of a screen. It's got a plastic covering, and you know what? It sustains drops and sustains knife scratches pretty well, according to the internet. And the internet is always to be believed, right? I thought so. Then here's the HTC One, all metal, glass in the front. So design-wise, there are people that obviously have their preferences when it comes to hardware, and then of course software as well. Samsung has some incredible value adds in their software, and it just gets better with the Galaxy S4. So it comes down to a lot of different things. If both of your carriers have this device, that's obviously a battle within itself, because if you're on Verizon, you don't even have the option to get this phone if you want to stay with Verizon. But if assuming both carriers have this phone, it's a battle between design, it's a battle between specifications as to what you want, and more. It's a battle between software and hardware, essentially. Let's jump in part 2, and we'll start just by recapping really quickly some of the key features of both of these devices. The US version of the Galaxy S4, 1.9 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon 600 CPU, 5-inch 1080p HD display, 441 pixels per inch, 2 gigabytes of RAM, 2,600 milliamp hour battery, Gorilla Glass 3 on the front, available in Black Mist and White Frost in 16, 32, and 64 gigabyte variants. Over here, boom, 1.7 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon 600 CPU, 4.7-inch 1080p HD display with 469 ppi, 4 ultra-pixel camera on the back, so HTC is trying to dispel that megapixel myth with their ultra-pixels. Less megapixels, more ability to let light in. They're going for a better shot in low light areas, and more, which we'll talk about in this part of the video. Both do 1080p HD recording. This has a 2,300 milliamp hour non-removable battery. So smaller display, smaller battery, bigger display, obviously bigger battery over here. This has Android 4.2, the newer version of Jelly Bean. This has Android 4.1, the older version of Jelly Bean. So let's take a look at both of these right now. I'm going to go ahead and clear out these notifications so we can really focus on both of these. There we go. So we can actually see the notification bars in clean form. So here's what they look like in part 2, and continuing along in the customization on both of these devices. They're both heavily customized over stock Android. You can see TouchWiz implementation and Sense 5 implementation over here. But you do have some nice abilities on the Samsung device over here. For example, I can click here and I can move these around as I see fit. So this is a new feature that we saw with the Note 8.0 that was just released at Mobile World Congress. I can move my notifications around, or my shortcuts, I should say, around in the notification panel. So let's say I don't really use Wi-Fi. I can bring it down here. I do use Bluetooth. Let's keep it up there, and you can see these just changed around, so I can put in my top 5 that I use on a regular basis. That's just one of many new customization options on the Galaxy S4. And then over here, you got the ability to personalize as well. So you can really make these devices your own, obviously, with wallpapers, with lock screens, and more. So we'll go into the lock screen area just so you can see what that looks like. Displays, and actually I take that back. Let's go down here to personalize, or go up here to personalize. Lock screen style. Then I'll come up here to my lock screen as well, and you can see the differences. This has Android 4.2, so it has the lock screen that's very similar to the Nexus 4, but it does have TouchWiz elements, and I'll show you in just a second. Over here, Android 4.1 with some custom HTC lock screens. Productivity happens to be my favorite because you can see your phone calls, your messages, your emails, your calendar appointments, and more, all from the lock screen, and once you swipe up, you can automatically go into that application and pick up where you left off. Photo album is also an option, music is also an option, and then no lock screen as well. Over here, when you turn it off and back on, I'll show you what I'm talking about here Show you Android 4.2 look and feel with the ability to add widgets here. So it's definitely got some 4.2 look and feel to it with the ability to add widgets and the shortcut to the camera, for example. But you can come in here and customize this and really make it your own. So Samsung goes above and beyond the typical stuff you'd get with the Nexus 4, for example, that has stock Android 4.2. I can change the dual clock. I can make the size smaller or larger. Then I can go back into the lock screen as I see fit. Let me go ahead and undo this here. And go back into the lock screen as I see fit. Bam. And then I can add, of course, what you saw down below, the shortcuts at the bottom. So definitely kind of a combination between Android 4.2 and then the Samsung TouchWiz look and feel. So I'll apply this one. Actually, this one is already applied. So when I turn it off and back on, you can see I don't have any calendar appointments, but if I did, or messages, they would show up all in sequential order right up through here. And then I just swipe to unlock and access that. Let's take a look at quadrant standard on both of these devices. Both have quad-core Snapdragon 600 CPUs, incredibly fast CPU all around, been incredibly pleased. Let's see how many times I can say incredibly in this sentence. Been very, very pleased all around. See, I can substitute words. Quadrant standard, load this up. We'll back out of this one, and we'll run the benchmark and talk a little bit about call quality. I've been exceptionally pleased with call quality on both of these devices. I will give a slight edge when it comes to sound to the HTC One. Oops, let's start that back up. Bam. Slight edge, as I was saying, in sound to the HTC One. The boom sound speakers are incredible. I had to actually, this is coming from somebody who has a hard time hearing. I say what a lot. My girlfriend gets mad when I say what, but I say what a lot. And that can be frustrating for a lot of people. I had to actually turn this phone down. The speakers are incredibly loud. The ringtones are incredibly loud. You will hear them from miles away if you have the volume turned all the way up. And the speakers are great both for phone calls and for speakerphone, not to mention watching videos and listening to music and more. In fact, this has been my go-to for the past week. I've had both of these I've had this for about actually longer, about 3 weeks or 4 weeks with the One. Had this for at least a week. This is my go-to when I go to the gym. I listen to this and use this for my music because it is exceptionally nice all around. Been really pleased with the sound performance, and the call quality on both of these devices have been fantastic. 12,497, 12,508 on the HTC One. So a little bit faster over on the HTC One, just barely faster, but it does win the quadrant standard test. Now on to the speed test, and both of these are 4G LTE capable devices on Sprint. These are both Sprint devices. I am in the Dallas Metroplex, so both of these are on 4G LTE right now. Unfortunately, I've had some 4G LTE issues near my office. It's been exceptionally fast near my house, and I'll show you some sample performance numbers, but for whatever reason, the cell site near my office is not doing so hot, as you can see right here. I mean, this is LTE, and I'm getting like less than 1 megabit per second on the download. Upload equally bad. But then when I get home, great cell site or great reception. With both of these devices, I get between 15 and about 30 megabits per second on a regular basis on Sprint's LTE. So it just depends on where you are. Obviously, their 3G is pretty slow. EVDO is old and outdated. So if you're not in an LTE market, take a consideration as to whether Sprint's your best carrier, or if you want to go with AT&T or Verizon or whatever the case may be that works best for you. But you can see over here in results, I should have some results for you on one of these. Here we go. On the Sprint device, I forget which ones I've hard reset in preparation for a review, but 35 megabits per second, 33 megabits per second, 27, so incredibly fast in areas that are not my office. But then you can see it really drops when I'm in my office, 0.56. That was actually a pretty good one, 4 megabits per second at 8 in the morning one day when I was in the office. So it depends on where you are and if it works best for you. So keep that in mind as you're rolling through taking a look at both of these. I will say cameras, pretty impressive on both counts. 4 ultra-pixel camera, 13 megapixel camera over on the Galaxy S4. They both have a host of features, and we'll start by talking about the HTC One here with its HTC Zoe capabilities. Let's say, for example, you're out recording a soccer game or you're recording a basketball game, and you're out recording it and you want to do some Zoes. So I'm going to show you HTC Zoe, and this I'm going to do it actually over here on this. Forgive me, while I'm recording here, and you can see what I'm talking about. While I'm recording here. And so you can see I just took a 3-second video burst, and that's what an HTC Zoe is, a 3-second video burst of whatever, and you can see that it's recording, and I can go between that and then of course still pictures as well. Just taking a few here with the Galaxy S4. HTC Zoe is super cool because I can go into the gallery and I can share this as well. So I can say my photos, let's go to my events, and you know what, 423. Here's what I've taken so far today, and all I have to do is click on this, and the phone automatically puts this together. Take a look at this. And you can change the music around. You can really make this, I did not mean to turn it off, but you can really make this your own. Let's go to Vega, for example. This is my favorite. So you can make this your own, and you can really see a use case for this where you're at a wedding or you're taking 100, 200, 300 pictures in a day, and you want to create a nice little video to send to maybe your friends that just got married or whoever the event was for. You can take advantage of that with HTC Zoe. I found it particularly useful. Now, this thing has a host of features as well, and like anything, between these two, it's just going to depend on which feature you find most important. So I'll come in here. This is one of my favorites. I can activate the front and the rear-facing camera. So, for example, let's say there's a celebrity nearby. Let's say this HTC One is a celebrity, and I don't want this HTC One to know that I'm staring at it. So I can kind of stealthily take a picture of it. But then I can also crop myself into the picture, and then of course I can change this around so I can do a heart shape. I'm in love with the HTC One or Instant Picture. It's actually a pretty good one. We'll do Instant Pic, and I can put the date here, and of course I can make it larger or smaller as I see fit. And I can also move it around on the screen. So if I wanted to picture the bottom of the HTC One, I can move it over here and snap a quick pic. And then boom, that is there. And there are a bunch of different mode options here in addition to that one. I can go into mode and take a look, for example, at panorama. Eraser is a good one. So if you're taking pictures with friends and that annoying guy in the suit keeps walking by because he's a creeper and he's behind you, you can erase him out of the image. HDR, of course, and then you've got drama shot, which is really nice because you can link together shots of maybe this little man here snowboarding, or if somebody skis, or if you're just doing something that's really drama related, And when I say drama related, I'm not talking about arguing. Haha, bad joke. But you get the idea. Drama shots as well. So there are a lot of different camera shots, and not only that, they made it easier to figure out which one's best for you with this little description right here. Another feature I want to point out on the HTC One before we leave the camera mode is the wide-angle front-facing camera. Take a look at the front-facing lens here, and I'll show you camera, switch to front. And you can see, look at how much it actually gets in here. You can see the walls of my office. You can see where I usually shoot behind me. All these different things, really a ton of space. And then compare it over here, and this one is certainly good, don't get me wrong. But take a look at the difference here between these, and it's pretty impressive. Wide angle, and they're both pretty wide angle, but you get the idea. Very impressive over on the HTC One. So there are a lot of features to like about both of these devices. This is the hardest dogfight battle that I've ever done at PhoneDog, and it really depends, like I always say this, but more so than ever with these two devices, it depends on what's most important to you. If software is more important to you, in my everyday life, software is probably more important to me than the hardware because I put the phone in the case anyway. I would probably say go with the Galaxy S4 with the software benefits. Some of you love that Air View, you love Air Gesture, you love all that stuff, and then you love, not to mention Watch On or HTC's TV application. I would seriously consider the Galaxy S4. Software-wise, it's chock full of some incredible stuff. This thing is gorgeous from a hardware standpoint. It fits so well in the hand. This thing is one of those phones I keep wanting to pick up just because it's beautiful. And it's one of those that's laying on my desk, and I'm like, I have nothing to do with the HTC. Why don't I just pick it up, hold it in my hand, surf around, maybe go between the windows, and then put it back down because it is that beautiful of a phone. The boom sound speakers are incredible on this device. I cannot underscore how great the sound is. The camera is really nice, and it dispels the megapixel myth for the most part. That said, a winner has to be declared in the dogfight, and for the first time in PhoneDog dogfight history, this is a tie. And I know if you're watching on YouTube, you're saying, what? How is one of these not declared a winner? What's the purpose of the dogfight? Well, the purpose is to show the different features, but there is no winner here. It totally depends on what is most important to you, and that's always a factor anyway, but there is no distinguishing feature that makes one of these significantly better than the other or significantly worse than the other. These are two Android powerhouses, and believe me when I say you are going to be happy with either one of these devices. I say it again, it is a dogfight tie for the first time in PhoneDog dogfight history. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage between these two iconic Android flagships, these powerhouse devices, the Galaxy S4 and the HTC One. I'm on Twitter at PhoneDog_Aaron. I'm also on Facebook at Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB, and we're on Google Plus at PhoneDog.com/G+. Be sure to check out our hub for all things Galaxy S4 as well at PhoneDog.com/Galaxy S4. And you know what? There are more dogfights to come, but this one is a tie. Thanks so much for watching. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for more on both of these devices. And as always, I'll see you next time.